Hey guys, multitude of you has asked us in the past to bring back Watches and Whiskey, to do market updates more often. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to sit there and make an hour-long video. So what we decided is to do what we like to call Watch News Weekly. A quick, easy video bringing all the latest news in the watch industry that we're gonna try to put out once a week. So lo and behold, welcome to our pilot episode of Watch News Weekly. First topic, whole safe stolen. Whoever came up with that title was actually interesting. But what we're referring to is the robbery that took place in Staten Island during Memorial Day weekend of our dear friend and colleague, Joey, the wristwatcher. The crooks got away with $2.5 million worth of stuff. And they took the entire safe, literally. It was like an Italian job. They broke through the roof, cut out through walls, pulled out the entire safe. Of course, they probably took it to undisclosed location to try to get into the merchandise.
It's definitely a big sting to the community and definitely to our personal friend Joey. I mean, what happens in these situations is somebody lifts your whole entire inventory. Is not only can you not do business, but you have no merchandise to sell. And it really kind of almost trickle effects down. And thankfully insurance hopefully will cover it, but that's not to say that's not going to stain your business moving forward. That's the most unfortunate part. On a personal level, you feel like you were violated, and on a business level, it's like a dead stop.
And to add to that, having spoken with Joey, insurance is on its way to recover funds to him. But as you said, what a lot of people out there are saying, okay, well, he'll get paid by the insurance. It's fine. It's the business stoppage. And which is why we personally actually offer Joey access to some of our inventory, even our office space, so he can get the business rolling in an interim.
Yeah, who do you think did it?
It was not an inside job. It was a professional job. Obviously, it was somebody there posing as clients. That's what I would be looking at. I would be looking at clients that you don't really know, maybe first-time clients. They came in, talked a lot of things, didn't buy a lot, came back again, scoped the place out, because the job was definitely an Italian job, like the movie. So for me, it was definitely a professional crew that's probably staked Joe out for quite some time, which is why in here at Luxury Resale, we don't let anybody in the office we don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly were there a few times. They knew that security was not going to be there at certain hours of the night, at night. They knew where to enter. They knew that the safe was not dead bolted to the ground, so they were able to lift it. So they definitely had to have scoped the area for
What do you think is going to happen to the watches?
Well, luckily, our business and our industry small. So as soon as that happens, and luckily he had everything on paper, and he just kind of released a serial number.
Yeah, everything was blasted through the dealer chat.
So hopefully dealers out there will know that.
Plus, he had the cards separate from the watches. The cards were not, normally people keep cards with their Rolex watches in those little pouches. Those things were separately. They didn't get away with those. So now there's a bunch of naked Rolex watches out there that are new that are going to raise an alarm. Let's move on to the next topic. Experts drop. The Federation of Swiss Watch Industry reported that exports into the United States dropped by 4.9%. The lowest it has been since 2001.
2021, I believe.
Did I say one? I said 2021, that is correct. Also mentioned, and not to be taken lightly, that the exports into China rose by 107.8%, which is obviously fairly insane. Now, it is the first decline since 2021. Right? So, thoughts?
I mean, look, obviously we've seen what we saw January 2021 up until this point, which is the biggest craze of export, import, and definitely in that business. There was a big saying there's a supply shortage of watches. Well, that wasn't the case. It was just that the supply couldn't meet the demand. Therefore, the price of these things has gone up like crazy. So I would probably say the export is probably at normal levels. But when you compare things in a very short time period of craziness to normality, you start to think, oh my God, this is a big drop. But 4.9% is not that overwhelming.
It's not. Actually, I don't think it's overwhelming at all. I think it's actually lower than I expected. Let me tell you guys what I think that means. What that simply means is that we're going back to a regular way of doing business, okay? There's no more FOMO. There's no 10 guys waiting behind your back to try to buy the same exact watch. Prices have come down to normal levels. And by some normal levels, I mean 2x retail instead of 3x retail. And China opened up. China makes up for 60% of all luxury goods sold worldwide, 22% of which is watches and jewelry. So what's the big surprise? That the one region has calmed down, and the second region, or the region that just opened up, the biggest region in the world that buys luxury, has opened back up, and they can freely move about and buy stuff. It's not a big surprise. I'm surprised that the number wasn't even higher than 4.9%. Plus, guys, don't forget, the landscape of the market here in the United States has has changed. You had all these authorized dealers that were hoarding all this product that kept going up in value over years that are now saying, oh crap, I got to sell some of this stuff because now the values are dropping. I can no longer get 2, 3x for this product. I now got to start delivering the product. And of course, they can't do it at the same time. So they have enough product to sell for the next 6 months to a year. And perhaps in a year, we'll see what the numbers will do.
Look, we could discuss this topic for many, many hours. There's obviously various viewpoints as to, does that mean that the watch market's falling? And the answer to that, I believe, is absolutely not.
Let's move on to the next topic. And next we're talking about the $1 million resale of a brand name that's harder to pronounce than JJ Lecout, and that is Resale of Acrivia.
Sure you butchered that, and I apologize for any R&R fans out there. We're going to call them R&R for ease of pronunciation.
There you go, Rolls Royce. There we go.
Rolls Royce, yeah.
Resale or Acrivia, they resold one of his original pieces. It was a limited edition of 25, rose gold, number 20 of 25. Phillips sold it for almost $900,000 US. What does that actually mean? Well, to me, it means what I've been always saying. The rise of the independents, but it also is not surprising because that's the one independent brand that has never resold on a secondary. It's like such a niche little, circle where everybody that gets that watch, they get it directly from him and they will never resell it because it's like the holy grail for any collector out there, especially one that loves independence. So congratulations first and foremost to him. I think it's well deserved. His watches are phenomenal. The man himself has come up from nothing and made it into something extremely big, a household name, if you will, among very niche collectors.
What do you think? If you can pinpoint one other individual, let's call it 2 brands that he reminds you of, who would that be?
Okay, number one, first and foremost, is the obvious, is F. Bjorn. Number
Absolutely.
2, I'm going to say Richard Mille. The difference is, though, is that if you want to buy any Richard Mille today, any Richard Mille, and money is no object, I'm saying, or any F. Bjorn, you can get out there and get it. You cannot, up until this auction result, you could not do that with Acrivia or Rex Receppi's watches.
Well, correct. I mean, listen, he's only been in I would say, business for a very, very short time. F. Bjorn has been around for 25 plus years, and Richard Mille's been around for 23 years, right? So the marketplace is not as big. But the reason I say this, F. Bjorn and Richard Mille, 2 completely different animals, right, is a lot of people are marveling at this watch because of the individual, right? There's almost like a cult-like following for him, same as FP. A genius in the watchmaking industry, and they follow him, and I kind of see the same jump start for him as F. Bjorn and with Richard Mille, and you can attest to what happened with a certain distributor taking on the whole entire brand and then controlling supply. Same thing happened to R&R here.
Let me ask you another question. Do you think the future is that for Rex Receppi, we're going to see him as the next F. Bjorn, and the product will finally start selling on the secondary market because of this auction?
It's a very, very tough thing to say. It depends how they're going to be released onto the market.
Makes sense. Let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk about the Spiderman watch backlash. Okay, it's this. You got to put the thumb out.
Apparently the new movie was really good.
Yeah, well, we got to go watch it. Look, guys, when the BBC watch, aka the Black Panther, came out, it caught a lot of heat.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, not spend a lot of time on that. Fast forward to today, the watch still trades at double list, and it's not readily available in the market. It's not an easy watch to get. If somebody called me tomorrow and said, get me one of those, it's not an easy watch to get. Marvel comes out, all of a sudden, everybody starts bitching and moaning. What are you bitching and moaning about? What did you expect? They started a Marvel series. Spider-Man on the Marvel world far outweighs the Black Panther and every one of them. If you think about it, he's probably the number 1 character, if you ask me. So why the bitching and moaning about the Spider-Man? The new, what's the new thing that they made that glows in the dark?
What?
They called it something else. What glows in the dark?
I don't know. Critanium.
It was carbonium. That's it. Yeah, they took.
No, that's a restaurant, by the way.
Right? Not carbonium. I don't know what it was. Tell me why you think all the hate all of a sudden.
All right, so I
have a feeling you're gonna have an analogy.
Well, yes, I always have analogies. That's what I do. So the way I like to look at this was very similar to Eminem, the rapper. How do I draw that parallel? How do I draw that parallel?
Next limited edition Eminem.
So you had a white guy that came in and completely disrupted the hip hop industry. This is a guy that came out, said things that nobody has ever heard before. Kind of similar to the Black Panther. The Marvel came out. Nobody has seen anything like that. Bold before. Album 1. I like to say Slim Shady LPs, very similar to the Black Panther. Came out, had massive, huge success and appeal. And then what happened with Eminem was album 2 came out. He said even crazier stuff, and it was an even more popular album. Therefore, catapulted him into the next level. So when you have a huge success like a Black Panther, you have to follow that up with something even better. Shock factor. Watch 1 was a shock factor. Watch 2, we kind of already knew what to expect, and I think that generally it didn't receive the same love as the Black Panther did. So that's why I think there's hate for it.
Okay, well, Eminem's second album was even a bigger bomb. I mean,
What do you mean, Marshall Mathers LP?
yeah,
Best album he ever produced.
exactly. So, and what you're saying is that the Spider-Man.
And then album 3, some would argue, was even better.
So what you're saying is that the Spider-Man was not Eminem's second
As
album.
critically acclaimed, as they say, as...
I'll give you one hot take on it, and I'm going to finish it off with this. I absolutely love the Marvel
like it
watch.
too.
People that are hating it, trust me, that watch will still sell at double this
for
and
sure.
then some. And if anybody has one, I'd love to buy one.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next topic. Breguet releases the new Type 20. Quick history lesson for you. Breguet Type 20 originally was made in 1951. It was a watch made for the French Air Force that they actually contracted Breguet to make pilot chronographs. Oddly enough, they were very, very creative when they were trying to come up with a name for the watch. They called it the Type 20, and the reason for that is because that was the number of the contract between the French Air Force and Breguet when they were making the watches. I know, very creative. I was waiting for a breath of fresh air from Breguet. And I was waiting for that breath of fresh air for quite some time. I'm a big fan of the brand. It's the godfather of all watchmaking. This is something that is just, they need a refresh. The brand needs a rebrand. They're under the Swatch umbrella, and most people out there are saying, listen, the Swatch group is killing off these big brands because they're not letting them breathe. It's all about the numbers, about production. I've always said, and I'll say it again, reduce the number of watches and number of lines that you have within the brand, kind of what Longa is doing as part of the Richemont Group, and the effort to elevate Longa, and Breguet will do well. It's the best brand in the world as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the greatest watchmaker of all time.
Yes.
Bar none. Now, the question is because we've been buying up these 80s and 90s Breguets, post Quartz Crisis and the arrival of Daniel Roth to the brand, that's a watch that, how do you feel? It's more, the question I think more is, what do you feel about remasters?
Well,
and how they work?
I think it elevates the brand. It makes people look back in history. It makes
Or
people
does it?
look. It does. It absolutely.
work?
It absolutely does, and it does work. It worked for Jaeger.
I hope it does work.
It worked for Jaeger. It didn't work much for
AP remaster.
You know who it works best for? Vacheron.
And Omega.
And Omega. Vacheron and Omega are the two best brands that it works for, and I think by Breguet is going in the right direction by spotlighting what they did in the past, and especially picking a sports watch, which they don't have many of. I think the price of original Type 20s, like the Air Naval and the original Type 20s, is going to go through the roof. The ones that were made in late 90s and early 2000s. So great move in the right direction from Breguet. I love the look of the watch. I mean, it just literally looks like the older one. And so I'm absolutely in love with that. I would love to have that watch. I had the original Type 20, then somebody took it off my wrist, but it is what it is. But I think a great move in the right direction for Breguet. Now all they have to do is slim down those lines, slim down the number of pieces within those lines, and I think they will do very, very well. Guys, this is it for us. It's a quick round of news. Again, we're going to bring this to you weekly. And by bringing this to you weekly, we're going to try to keep you informed of the latest. We may not cover all the news, but because this is a pilot episode, I ask you that you really comment below what else you would like to see, if you like the pace of this, because the idea is to bring you a quick, informative video, and you can look forward to next week's video where we provide you with more insight information on the world of watches.
Absolutely. And guys, information is key. You guys send me DMs, texts, WhatsApps, emails all the time, trying to cover a whole bunch of topics. And this show's only as good as what you guys want to see. So we're looking forward to next week's episode.
Other than that, like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode of Watch News Weekly. Thank you, Adrian.